Welcome everyone to the BNT Sports Talk Show. It's Super Bowl Sunday, February the 12th. Hope everybody just got done watching an incredible game between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs as they finish it up. And if you don't know by now, the Kansas City Chiefs have won the Super Bowl. So again, welcome everybody. If this is your first time listening to us, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the likes, and hit the notification bell. So we appreciate you joining us. All right, B. So obviously it's Super Bowl Sunday, man. I watched the entire game. I know you watched it too. We were actually in conversation the last 5 or so minutes of the game. This was the Mahomes show. Well, it ended up being the Mahomes show. I must say, it kind of started off as the Jalen Hurts shows. But what would you think coming away from the game?
Man, it started off kind of, I wouldn't say lackluster, but it just didn't have that feel for it. I think you just trying to understand where these two teams were going with the game here, but it picked up. And man, this game was a lot of fun to definitely watch here towards the end. We'll dive into a lot of things into this here, but this was a high scoring game, as I think we had talked
Yes,
about
that's
it
what I
being
wanted.
here. I think that's what we all wanted. What did you have? What was the score you had it at? I think you were close.
I didn't write it down.
No, I think you were close to it though. You
I
had it
was
in
I
the
was
30s.
tw- I was I want to say
34-31.
34. I want to say 34, 38. I want to say that's what it was, but I was close.
So
But I
you
definitely
were
want to
you were
see a
pretty
high
close.
scoring game. I want to see the
Nah.
game we just saw. It was kind of the tale of two halves. Again, Jalen Hurts came out buzzing. The first two opening drives for both teams were touchdowns. Pat, who came in with the ankle injury, and I believe Hurts also coming in off an injury that he had going into the end of the season. But all that aside, both guys played their guts out. It was a really good game. Hurts was really killing them, man. He was hurting them with the legs. They were doing a lot of quarterback draws. The RPO was in full effect. And they really took it to the Chiefs and really held on to the ball for a really long time. The Chiefs defense could not get off the field, man. And I think
Not at all.
we were texting, and you brought up the fact that the Eagles, that's just the way that they play offense.
Yeah, and when you see how the game started, the Eagles didn't really change any of their offense there. The 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, it was a quarterback sneak every single time.
Yeah,
But it kept the clock running. The Eagles were kept the ball moving down the field for most of the game. I mean, the Eagles have scored on their first possession, all touchdowns. So what do they go do in the opening drive? Touchdown.
yeah,
Right down the field too. Like they
yeah.
made
It
it look
was,
super,
yeah,
super
yeah.
easy. Um, I was impressed with Jalen Hurts. I think all game for this being as big as a moment as he was. I think his second or third year in the league.
Yeah.
Dude, tell me he did not look calm and collect out there,
No,
man.
no, and you and
Like
you and
he,
you, you mentioned it. Yeah, that first drive, it almost looked like they were just playing a regular season preseason game. Like they just
yeah.
drop back throw, drop back throw, drop back throw. He was hitting everybody he wanted to get, and the guys were making plays.
And there really wasn't a lot of bad throws on his end either. A lot of them were really, really good throws there.
Yeah, yeah,
And that first drive, honestly, it really looked like how you go through a walkthrough in practice just
yeah.
like the night
Yeah,
before. That's literally what that first drive was, dude. Like you couldn't have asked for a perfect first drive here. And what it did is not only did it take time off the clock, but it helped establish the tone for how the Eagles were going to run their offense there. They're not afraid to go for it on 4th down. And what do they do on the first drive? They go for it on 4th down.
yeah. Yep.
I mean,
Well, I mean that quarterback sneak play was undefeated the entire game. I mean, there was nothing that
yeah.
Kansas City could
all
do about that.
playoffs, all
Yeah,
playoffs,
yeah.
it
I
was
mean,
undefeated here.
it basically is like a bulldozer. They just line that thing up, and there was one play where I think Chris Jones tried to jump over the top and grab Jalen Hurts, and it didn't even matter. He literally just kept going with the offensive lineman carried him and Jones past the first down marker. So man, it was
Yep.
it was it was crazy, man. I thought it was I there aren't too many plays you see like that, or too many teams you see that could just line up like that and just, this is our play. We're going for it. We're getting the first down every time. Generally, there was some question about it, but not in this game. When they saw anytime that formation came up, man, it was a wrap.
And you knew what was coming too. Like if you knew when you saw the tight end getting into the backfield,
Yeah,
uh, you knew it was coming. There was no, and you know what? The Eagles have every opportunity to run a fake at that time too, because a lot
yeah,
of
and
teams in
that's
the
what.
league are going to be expecting that,
Yeah, that's what I
but
was
they're not
waiting for
expecting a
too. I was
bootleg.
like, they got. I'm pretty sure at some point they're gonna throw it. You're just gonna fake this and throw the ball up, or fake it and have Hurts, leak out on the sweep or something. But yeah, man, I'm surprised they didn't actually.
I was expecting a bootleg in that first half at some point because they got the tight end back there every single time.
Yeah,
Can you imagine the tight end rolling out and just having all sorts of field and
go
Godard,
Gobert.
what
Yeah, Gobert.
Gobert?
Go
Hey,
Gobert.
he's a fast
Gobert.
boy.
Go
Sounds like a word.
Gobert. I don't know.
Gobert. Oh man, we can't put that evil on him. We can't compare him like that. But the guy, the guy was pretty. I mean, he was pretty impressive all the way around. And I think just the Eagles themselves in the first half couldn't have played a better first half to begin the game with. They executed on all levels. They kept the Chiefs off the field, and realistically, in that first half, the only thing the Chiefs really had to count for them was the touchdown because the
Yeah, the
defense scored the
turnover.
other touchdown. But other than that,
Yeah.
that first half was all Eagles. What you take away from the first half?
Yeah, well, I'm at kind of the same stuff you were saying. The fact that Philly was dominating the ball for so long, and the fact that the Kansas City defense would make a few plays, say on second or third down, but or excuse me, first or second down, but they could not get off the field. And I think that's what was most
No,
impressive to me. They just could not get off the field. Now I know a lot of it had to do with what you were talking about, where the Eagles are playing territory or in 4 down territory every single drive. And so they're continuing to be extremely aggressive. And I think that really threw KC's defense off because there were a couple plays where they felt like they put a big hit on the guy or knocked a guy down for a 2-yard gain. And Jalen Hurts was good with being able to hit the middle and pick up at least another 5 to 7 yards and get them in a situation where it was, third and three or fourth and two or fourth and one, whatever the case may be. And then that fourth down was nothing. It was not a big deal because of that quarterback sneak play we just talked about. But
yeah,
honestly, it's just the fact that the Eagles were always playing in that four down mentality, and I think that really threw Kansas City's defense off. They thought they were making good plays. They felt good about the second down play they made that caused the third and long, but it didn't matter because they pick up six on third. Now all of a sudden they have a fourth and two, and then they end up picking up the first down.
yeah, and after the Eagles had came down and scored on their first drive, Kansas City went right back
They
at them,
did, yeah.
put up a touchdown as well. But then the defenses got to showcase a little bit of what got them to the Super Bowl because then the game it became kind of a I wouldn't say a standstill, but it started becoming a little bit of a defensive game, which the score won't reflect
Yeah.
because of the second half. But in that first half, the defenses really held everyone at bay for the most part. Um, in in that. And I think you brought up a good point when we were texting each other, but Kansas City's secondary and DBs were starting to look like Cincinnati's from 2 weeks ago
Yeah.
because they were there was a ball that Jalen Hurts just dropped in there for AJ Brown. Around two defenders as well. But when you look at the replay, not one Chiefs defender had his head up the entire time.
Exactly. And that's the same thing that happened to him against the Bengals, man. Jamar Chase and Higgins both caught balls just like that, where the guy just did not turn around, didn't know the ball was coming, and he literally just picks it off his back or high points it, and that's it. Now, I will give them credit. That didn't happen again, well, except for the wide open touchdown throw that late in the fourth quarter. But, they did a better job of defending the ball, and they did a better job
Yeah,
of defending. Their DBs did a really good job of getting their hands up. And there were a couple of plays where Jalen started pressing, you could tell, and some of those balls started getting closer and closer to DB's hands. So although Kansas City did not put any, I don't think any real pressure, I would say, on Jalen Hurts throughout the game. Although they did pick up the pressure in the third and I think going in towards the end of the game, I think Kansas City's defense let the foot off the gas that last drive whenever Philly got that long throw for that touchdown. But
Yeah.
they did get up at Jalen Hurts' face a few times. They did a better job than in the first half with keeping him corralled inside of the pocket for the most part. And although there aren't a lot of sacks, there were not a lot of sacks in this game. I don't even know if there were any. There may have been one.
I
And
will. I honestly didn't think there was going to be any with
yeah,
the way those two can get out of the pocket to get out of the way.
yeah,
So
and I don't think there were. I think the only sack there was Jalen Hurts running out of bounds and didn't make it past to the marker, and so
yeah.
I think he got touched or pushed or whatever. But so yeah, man, there was pressure, but there were no sacks. I thought Kansas City did a good job in the second half, especially in the third quarter, of realizing that they're not going to sack Jalen Hurts. And they stopped overplaying the lanes a little bit because that really messed them up in the first half. They did a better job of staying in lanes, keeping guys, keeping Hurt in front of them, and
Hmm.
and when they did rush, they rushed fast people. They didn't. They sent a couple of on a they sent a kitchen sink blitz at one point, just trying to get to Hurts and push him out of the way. Frank Clark did a good job, I think, late in the game when they got them on that quick 3 and out in the, I believe it was early in the fourth quarter. So yeah,
Yeah.
their defense definitely picked up a lot in the second
Well,
half.
and Jalen Hurts didn't have a whole lot of rushing yards here. I'm trying to pull up his stats on what he ended with, as far as rushing stats go. But the big thing that was kind of the thing for the defense was, for the Chiefs at least, was not allowing Hurts to get out of the pocket too much here. They allowed a couple of rushing yards, rushing plays, I should say, against Jalen Hurts, but
Yeah,
it wasn't something where it was like 40, a 30 to 40 yard run.
right.
It was 5 to 10, and you can live with something like that there.
Yeah,
It On the other hand, to that, Mahomes got out for a couple of big runs, and especially after the ankle injury, you weren't expecting really for him to, I wouldn't have seen him getting out of the pocket as much as he did, but he had two plays where he ended up kind of putting him in a good position there on crucial downs
yeah.
during the game there.
Yeah, I believe it. I believe at the very end of the game was one of those plays. He got out on a run and ran the ball for 20 yards. So I mean, you
Yep.
weren't expecting that, but it's still in his back pocket. And he's a guy that's not supremely athletic, but he can get out there and run to pick up some yardage. And I think the only difference is I feel like and I got the stats up here. So Jalen ran for 70 yards, which was pretty good. He on 15 carries. Now you have to consider Philly runs design quarterback draws, which the Chiefs do
Yes.
not. So you have to look at the average, and he only averaged a little less than 5 yards a run. And so anytime the difference is going to be when anytime Mahomes is running, it's because it's a broken down play. So of
Yep.
course he's going to be scrambling for more than likely a little bit more yardage than what we're seeing from Hurts. But 304 yards passing, 70 yards on the ground. Jalen really, he really came to play, showed up, and really did some great things. They just couldn't quite do enough offensively to get to win the game. And KC started scoring so fast um, in the third quarter, especially that it was, I don't know, it was like Philly got punched in the face and kind of had to pick themselves up.
Well, I think I think all that first half success, and the talk of we're accustomed to a 13-minute half compared to, what was it, 35 40 minutes with all
Yeah,
the with
yeah,
all
the
the concert going
Super
on.
Bowl.
This
Yeah,
gives teams players some time to really, I mean, you would think about it, 35 minutes isn't a lot here, but that 20 extra minutes that they get sitting in the locker room, players can get that little extra treatment, that little extra cortisone shot put into their ankle. I'm just saying, it helps them out just a little more. It helps teams kind of regroup and kind of get reset here, instead of trying to rush everything into 13 minutes to get back on the field. to pick everything back up here. So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, I'm not shocked that Kansas City made the adjustments because when you look at it, that's Andy Reid right there.
Yeah.
Always making adjustments.
Yeah, and I thought they did a good job. They got Juju Smith Schuster involved in the third, just to give them another possession receiver to drop the ball into. I thought Travis Kelsey had an okay game, but anytime you're Travis Kelsey, you're going to get double teamed. So, I mean, teams are looking for him more often than not because he is the best receiver on that team. They did a good job with mixing some of the play up with some of the screen plays that they ran, getting Jerry McKinnon involved in some of the plays. Pacheco did a pretty good job, running really hard, getting downhill, and chewing up yards. And so I thought they did, and then that the same route they ran twice, they got them 2 touchdowns. Right?
Yeah,
It was the receiver coming in on the motion, stopping on as soon as the ball was hiked, turning and cutting back out. And for some reason, Philly's defense was following the inside route, and that man was wide open. That happened twice in 2 very critical parts of the game. So, yeah,
yeah. And you saw a breakdown in Kansas City's defense with Devontae Smith. You saw the DB chase the slot receiver, and
yeah.
Devontae Smith just had,
He
had
just he
just a
was.
straight
I don't know
shot.
why he didn't run in the end zone. I guess he just lost his balance or something.
Looks like it because honestly, he should have. I mean, they scored anyways on that
Right. Yeah.
possession. I
Right.
think
Right.
Jalen Hurts ended up
Yeah,
rushing
he
it
did.
in, but I mean, at that time, you get these breakdowns, and it's like you can't ask for like the worst time to
Yes.
have a breakdown in your defense there. So, um,
Even the
the
punt,
bounce,
the punt return, by
Kadarius
Tony.
Tony's return,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
that was huge. I mean, it was a short bad kick. He comes up, picks it up off his shoelaces, turns in the other direction. All of a sudden, he's all the way down to the 2 yard line, and that just goes to show, the old saying that it's a game of inches is absolutely true. If he punts that ball, if that's a better punted ball, that's probably not going to be a run back.
no, and it was. I mean, it was a terrible punt too. It was a low liner.
Yeah,
And you never want to give a guy with speed like that and any opportunity to get more than 10 yards. And he ended up getting 65 yards
yeah,
almost by running it back himself here.
yep,
But, and I think the other big kind of moment play that I think it's going to be discussed, but in all honesty, it's a penalty, was you and I were both watching it at the same time, the holding call on Juju Smith.
yeah, yeah. Juju Smith Schuster. So yeah,
And
so yeah. I mean,
he,
I mean, in my opinion, there was a grab. It was a kind of a, I guess we'll call it in and out route where he kind of basically fakes like he's slanting in and then goes out, or what is that called? A sluggo route. He slants in,
yeah,
goes out, out of the slant, and at the apex or the point to where he pivots, he does get a little handsy with them, and then as they're continuing upfield, you can see the DB kind of grabs the right hip or the side of the wide receiver, which kind of slows him down. So, I mean, Greg Olson, who was the commentator, had a lot to say about it and didn't believe it was pass interference. But
a lot to say, man. Damn.
ultimately, that guy, ultimately he was going to be wide open, and he did grab him. So generally that type of play 9 times out of 10 is going to get called because the DB's behind him. The DB's beat. So if a DB is beat and is reaching out to grab the wide receiver, generally that's what the officials are going to see.
Yeah, and that obviously led to the game-winning field goal.
Yeah.
McKinnon probably with the smartest play of the Super
Oh
Bowl,
yeah.
getting down at the 1 yard line. You got to understand with them controlling the game like that, they don't need the touchdown because Philly's got to burn timeouts. So Philly's playing the clock. They're not playing the Chiefs. They gotta play the clock. In all honesty, I would, if I was a Philly player, I'd have grabbed him and threw him forward into the end zone because at that point there was like a minute
Yeah.
30 left in the game
Yeah.
there.
Right.
So it gives you a chance outside of 4 seconds with that dead duck throw that that Jalen
Yeah,
Hurts. And
what was that?
Niner fans should be proud of that throw because you guys caused the shoulder injury. Or at least I'm not you guys. The Niners caused that shoulder injury in the NFC Championship game. So hang your hat on that. You guys may not have won another Super Bowl, but you prevented the Eagles from winning one. So
Yep.
kudos to the Niners defense on
It was
Jalen Hurts.
it was payback for the Brock Purdy elbow injury. That's what it was. It was payback.
Yep, you can look at that. Taj, I'm gonna read some stats off to you here, and let me know who you think had these stats here. First downs, 25 to 21. Third down efficiency, one team 11 for 18, the other team 4 for 8. Total plays, 72 to 53. Total yards, 417 to 340. Yards per play, 5.8 to 6.4. Who would you penalties this year? 6 penalties for 33 yards compared to 3 penalties to 14 yards. And I'll end it on this. Total possession time, 35 minutes compared to 24 minutes. When I read those stats off to you, who's the team that was more dominant in that category?
It's Philly because that's Philadelphia. Philadelphia, their offense, they put up more yards. They did have the turnover, so I mean that did hurt them. Because
it was just one turnover,
but it led to a touchdown. It led to a touchdown,
Yep.
And I think that kind of hurt them a lot. Time of possession, they did what they wanted to do, and I think really what it points out is that maybe Brian, maybe time of possession is overrated. I think the entire world and commentators, everybody was saying the same thing, which was if they could just keep Patrick Mahomes on the sideline. It's the same thing people say when they play against Tom Brady, right? If they could just keep him on the sideline. And then it's just like Atlanta. Remember Atlanta, they were up, what were they up against the Patriots, like 27?
28-3. It was 28-3.
Exactly. And that was the whole thing, right? Oh, he's just been on the sideline. He kept him on the sideline. He hasn't had enough time to play, blah, blah, blah. When it comes to great players, when the ball is in your hand on offense and you can make plays, you're just going to make plays. And then if you can score a touchdown in 30 seconds while it's taking me 5 minutes, that might not necessarily be an advantage for me. And I think that's kind of what we saw here is the fact that, it sounds all well and good that we're somehow going to ice the best quarterback in the entire league, but it didn't play out that way. And when Kansas City did start scoring, it didn't take them that long. They got up and down the field quickly. They put up their points and they kept it trucking. They didn't try. The only time the KC tried to hold possession of the ball was the very last drive of the game, which they accomplished. But so I think I personally think that whole idea or concept that if we just keep Patrick Mahomes or if we just keep their offense, stagnant, that we'll somehow win the game. I think that's full. I really honestly believe that's fool's gold. And I think that's what those stats show us.
Yeah, absolutely, Karen. Before we get a little more into the stats, we got 7 people tuning in today. So thank you guys for tuning in with us on Super Bowl Sunday. If you were living under a rock, the Kansas City Chiefs beat the Philadelphia Eagles 38-35 on a game-winning field goal to basically ice the game here. Look at it, it's a tale of let's put it in perspective like this. The Eagles scored 7 points in the first and 17 in the second quarter here. Yeah. And then Kansas City goes to reverse those same roles. The difference in the game, though, is Philly only scoring a field goal in that third quarter, in my mind there.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Kansas City turned it on in the fourth quarter with 17 points, but you got to put up at least a 10 spot, to maintain it here, and they just failed to do that.
What's crazy?
Game on the line.
What's crazy, B, is if you look at it, it's almost the exact scoring line that we saw against the Niners. The only difference was the Niners weren't capable of scoring. They kind of did the same thing. Yeah, exactly. So the Philly kind of did the same thing. They kind of ran up the score in the first half, didn't need to do a lot in the second half. And I think that's where we get that it's kind of the tale of two halves. The difference is they were playing against an elite offense, and once the ball started rolling on the offensive end for Kansas City, Philly had a hard time stopping it. And Philly didn't do a great job of getting to the quarterback, at least in my opinion. I mean, you're playing against a hobbled Patrick Mahomes. And maybe I'll ask you this, B, but from my perspective, I didn't see a lot of blitzes against Patrick Mahomes, and I can understand why. Maybe that, you've got a very good front four in the league. Maybe you don't need to do it, and you're playing against a very good quarterback. But I maybe saw only a handful of times, or less than a handful of times, where I felt like Patrick was about to get sacked.
I don't think Philly wanted to run the risk of blitzing and not getting to Patrick Mahomes
Yeah,
and then just leaving the middle of the field
of
wide open
course.
for him. You have to. They were. I think what Philly was trying to do was just maintain Mahomes, and I think they did a good job of it up until the fourth quarter. Realistically,
Yeah,
because even in the third quarter, they didn't get off to that hot start there. But I think in the fourth quarter, there, I think the defense could only do so much before Patrick Mahomes became Patty Mahomes of, on the MVP world here, who, you know, showed he showed the reason why. I think if Jalen Hurts wins the game, you see why he should have been this year's MVP. Both quarterbacks played great
yeah,
in this game here, but Patrick Mahomes just showed that extra step there. But getting back to it here, the Eagles held the ball for more than 10 minutes more than Kansas City did. But as you stated too, Kansas City doesn't need a whole lot of time to score.
right.
They need at least a minute, maybe two, if they really wanted to. And I think the one thing that kind of goes that's untalked about is Pacheco ran the ball well on defense there. And it wasn't so much in between the tackles. They allowed them to get into space
Yeah,
on the outside and kind of create more of a havoc out there. Um, Watching him run is like watching a bobblehead in fast motion there. His head is always bouncing up and down.
well,
He
man, I
looks
mean,
so angry running the ball,
yeah,
man.
man, he's running hard. He's running extremely hard. Even in points where you
Yep,
think the guy stopped for a 1 yard loss, instead of just laying down and taking the 1 yard, he's still struggling and fighting for two more. And that's just kind of how hard the guy is out there playing. And I think that's, something that Kansas City has lacked ever since they lost Kareem Hunt. Where having a go-to running back that can really churn up some yards for them, and that's kind of what they got out of what they've been getting out of Pacheco and what they got out of him tonight.
absolutely here. So, and Miles Sanders was not a factor in the
No,
run game
they
today.
didn't run the
It,
ball. I mean,
no, they were a pass heavy offense today, which is kind of is weird to see because when we saw Philly in the playoffs here, it was kind of a balanced offense.
yeah,
They were kind of more run first, pass second, but tonight they switched it up, which I mean worked all the way up until the end. But
right, yeah.
you know, you gotta establish that running game there because that helps you eat a little more clock. But
Yeah, that
overall,
and it helps put the defense keeps the defense honest.
and so kudos to Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes has just been named Super Bowl MVP. So I think that's two MVPs in two Super Bowl wins, if I'm not mistaken. Correct?
Yep, two Super Bowl MVPs and two MVP. Yeah, yeah. The man's filling his trophy case. He's filling it up.
Let me see. I just want to make sure I got my. Yep, Patrick Mahomes was the Super Bowl MVP, and he is again this year. So let's shift our focus to the man, Patrick Mahomes. This is his third Super Bowl in 4 years, second Super Bowl title, more than Aaron Rodgers, who we were just making fun of not
Yes.
too long ago because of this. So I'll start with you first, T. In your mind, where does Patrick Mahomes start climbing this ladder as far as what we can expect from him? Because he's only what? I think he's only 25,
Yeah, yeah.
26 in the league.
I think so, man. I have to look up. I don't got his age on hand, but look, the bottom line is Pat Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league right now. And there are some guys who were looking to threaten that. There was a lot to be said about guys like Josh Allen and Joe Burrow, and even Jalen
Uh,
Hurts, who had a breakout season this year.
yeah,
But this guy has been doing this for some time, and he has that upper echelon talent when it comes to his arm, being able to throw on the run, making those impromptu passes. We saw it today where the guy's almost falling to the ground, throws the ball to Travis Kelsey, who picks the ball up off his shoestrings for a first down. And those are the type of plays that we see Pat make throughout the entire year. So he's still the best quarterback, active now. As far as him continuing to go up the ladder and ascend to the next levels, the guy's just got to keep doing what he's doing. And we even talked about this before, B. I mean, if you think about it, who's he throwing to? Like this entire season, who's the guy? I mean,
Well, and Juju Smith-Schuster was supposed to be wide receiver one, and that didn't pan out
no,
at all. And they barely used him in this in the offense for every game that we have ever got a chance to watch the Chiefs. And you watch them playing against your Raiders. He's
yeah,
not the first option. Travis
Travis
Kelsey is
Kelsey,
his
yeah,
option, but that's a tight end. When you look at on who Patrick Mahomes' best receiver has been, is Tyreek Hill.
yeah, yeah,
And Tyreek Hill's a good wide receiver. He's not great. He's not a guy who's going to pop off the charts because you know what he's known for is just getting downfield here.
just keep running.
You just keep running
Forrest
there.
Gump.
So
Just keep running. Run,
so
Tyreek. Run.
as far as weapons go in the wide receiver game, they haven't been that talented
Yeah,
to say, and that's not a knock on Juju because he is a good receiver. Sky Moore is developing into a really good
Tony, who we
option
talked
for
about.
him.
Um,
Kadarius Toney, if he wants to play, and stay healthy, because he didn't want to play in New York, but then he comes here and he kind of performs. If they start putting a legit wide receiver one on the field, and you have to deal with Travis Kelsey, just imagine where the Chiefs are going to be for a very, very long time, and that includes Pacheco in the backfield.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, man. I mean, the guy deserves the praise, man. I mean, he's getting it done. I don't, he's just got to keep doing what he's doing. I don't, like I said, I don't see the AFC West getting any better, over the next few years. To be quite honest with you, with Russell Wilson,
What?
and
They
and
both trash anyway.
right, exactly. No, I'm being funny. But Derek Carr is out of there. The Raiders probably are going to be very good. I mean, there's a possibility they could bring in some old timer or bring in Aaron Rodgers to piss on their locker room and and throw to Devontae Adams. But other than that, I don't see it changing, man.
Just as Tom Brady calls it quits here, and not even a chance to really
Yeah.
enjoy what Tom
Bye,
Brady
Brady.
did for the
Don't
game.
come back.
Here comes
Stay gone.
here comes Patty Mahomes, and I think he is probably the biggest threat to the throne of being the best quarterback of all time in this league here, just based off of what he's done in the first 4 years.
Yeah.
When you look at what he's done in 4 years, you would expect that from a guy like Aaron Rodgers. We've seen it from Tom Brady already. Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, all these quarterbacks that are put on these upper echelons. Here is Patty Mahomes doing it.
Yeah.
And making it look easy, and playing through the injury. And I don't know who's, had an ankle injury, even just rolling an ankle.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, it's not fun.
That ain't comfortable at all. And to do what he does on the field, you really have to admire there. He does everything in his power to really keep the play going here.
Yeah.
Who knows how that's going to go about longevity-wise as his career goes on. But in this moment, he's 27 right now. In all honesty, I think by the age of 33, he should have at least – I would see the Chiefs having about 5 Super Bowls by then.
Woo. I mean, that's tough to say, man. There's a lot of good talent out there, especially in the NFC. How much better can Jalen Hurts get in that team? But I hear where you're coming from. I mean, KC's been the most consistent team over the past 5 years. I can't argue with that. It's just that things change from year to year, so it's tough to say. But I must say the man will be in the conversation all the time. Kansas City's going to be they're going to be in the playoffs every year because, like I said, the AFC West isn't going to be that much better, to be honest. I mean, there isn't a whole lot going on in the AFC West. It's like, oh dang, none of those teams are going to challenge the Kansas City for that top title or for the top of that division. So he's definitely going to have an opportunity to do that.
And to the other side of the ball, and that is Jalen Hurts, who showed a lot of people why he was as good as advertised coming out of college. And I don't think he got the respect coming out of college he deserved coming into the NFL here.
some spec on his
And
name.
yeah, and rightfully so, because a lot of first time quarterbacks in the Super Bowl don't look as poised as he did out there. And I think Philly's got a scary thing going on here, especially with that offense. You have AJ Brown locked up for a while. You're gonna have to re-sign Devontae Smith. You've got Miles Sanders, who I think is still on a 2-year contract with the Eagles. They've got themselves an amazing tight end in Gohart Gadar. I can't pronounce his damn name.
Gobert,
You know what
Gabbert,
I'm saying? Gobert, Gabbert,
Blaine Gabbert, tight end for the
Gugliotti. But maybe just kind of that defense is good. They do have a couple of old timers on that defensive side of the ball, but the Jalen Hurts, and I think this is going to be a good rivalry coming up. Is first it was supposed to be Lamar Jackson versus Patrick Mahomes, but in all honesty, I think these are going to be the two quarterbacks that kind of rival each other for the next few years, kind of like how we had with Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. Now, granted, they were in the same conference, but why wouldn't you want these kind of matchups in the Super Bowl against these quarterbacks here?
right. Yeah, no, I'm hoping so. I mean, that's what we want. We want the youth. I mean, that's why
Yeah,
Tom Brady gets on my nerve, not just because of the Tuck rule, but because there always comes a point in time where you got to get these old guys out of here. It's good to get the old out and get the new faces in. It makes things more interesting. It shakes it up a bit. So it's always good to see guys like, Patrick Mahomes come in and all of a sudden you have a guy with this otherworldly talent. All the eyes are on him. And then all of a sudden here comes Josh Allen. Here comes Burrow. Here comes Hurts. Now you've got all these different guys you could tune in on Sunday to
yep,
watch. And you're wondering, when is Josh Allen or when is Joe Burrow or when is this guy going to be as good, or is their team good enough to beat the opposing quarterback, or are they good enough to beat Mahomes in the playoffs in the AFC Championship game? And yeah, man, it's a good time. It's a fun time to watch football. Again, thank God. Don't come back, Brady. Please just stay away. We don't want to see you anymore.
I'm pretty sure he's not
Take
coming back.
take
So
care
you
of your
got nothing to worry
kids
about
and
there.
your wife. Okay. Or
Ex-wife,
at least try
ex-wife.
to. Oh, they already. God,
Um,
really already, huh? That was
I mean,
quick.
nothing's been talked about, but you and I are big NBA guys, and me and you talk about how the NBA is just set up for success every 5 years. There's
Yeah.
always generational
Yeah.
talent
Right.
coming in. You can start to say that about the NFL. There's so much talent getting ready to take over. We've seen a lot of the quarterbacks go. Aaron Rodgers is the last of the Mohicans, who I can't wait to retire, because then we can get an overhyped quarterback out of the league and let these young guys start taking over here.
Yeah.
Um, you know, watching, the NFL Sunday Ticket is now coming to YouTube TV. So a lot of people are going to be able to watch out of market games. And in all honesty, if there's not a good game on, I'm tuning into one of these guys playing, because I enjoy this style of quarterback play. This is the new age of football.
Yeah.
Pocket passers, they're starting to become dinosaurs, just like the big man became a dinosaur in the NBA and then resurged itself by being a stretch five, being able to get to the 3-point line, and getting away from being inside the paint. That's what you're going to start seeing in the NFL now. A
Yeah.
lot of these mobile quarterbacks, a lot of these kind of sidearm throws. Look at how many quarterbacks are throwing the ball sidearm now. Not seen in 10 years ago, maybe 5 years ago.
No.
This is not something you would have seen in the NFL.
Yeah. I remember. I remember back in the day with the Raiders, Rich Gannon. He would do that a lot.
Yeah,
And a lot of it was because our offense was built on throwing these weird little 5 yard outs at the time with Tim Brown and Jerry Rice. Back then they were 1,000 years old, so they weren't throwing 20-yard touchdowns. But in any case, yeah, I think the other thing to point out too is this is a great thing to see. Obviously it's Black History Month. We got to see two African American quarterbacks play each other on the biggest stage in football. And the one thing I'd like to point out is that although both of these guys have the capability to run, these guys are for the most part pocket passers. They're not necessarily guys that are running specific offensive just for the purposes of running. Jalen Hurts definitely is probably the more athletic of the two, but he threw for 300 yards. So he was doing a little bit of everything. So it's always good to see. And Pat can run, but Pat's not running. I mean, we've all seen Pat run. It's not spectacular.
it's not. It's
it's He's just
It,
running for his life. That's all.
it
It's
looks
not. He's
it
not doing
looks
anything
like a
special.
looks like an injured gazelle running from a
Well,
lion.
I was telling you that game, the one run for 25 yards at the end of the game. He's running so hard, his helmet's just going like this. His helmet's
He's
looking down at
looking
the
down at the
ground.
ground. He's not even looking up.
So I mean,
And it's like, yo, man, if you pick your head up, you may be able to run a little further. But
it's just good to see, and the evolution of what we think quarterbacks are is starting to change. And it's good to see that whenever you see African American quarterbacks pushed to the forefront, that we're not just talking about athleticism, which is always a part of the conversation, but it's also good. It's also accuracy. It's also understanding the offenses and making plays. And at times when watching Mahomes play, that's what you see. In both, and also with Hurts making great passes, and being very accurate with the ball, at least as accurate as they can be. I think Hurts was accurate the entire game except for that last throw of the game. I think that was it. He even had one that would have been a long catch. I forgot who the wide receiver was. It was right on his fingertips, and he just couldn't.
it was Watkins.
Watkins couldn't bring it in. So yeah,
Right in his hands too.
yeah. No, he should have had he should have had that. And I thought this was a really clean game too. Not a lot of penalties, although folks might
No,
argue that there were some big penalties, especially one towards the end. But for the most part, it wasn't a lot of offsides and a lot of weird stuff. There was a couple of, I think maybe
there were
a
a
delay
couple
a
of
game,
offsides,
like
but
a
those were on
delay a
those
game or
fourth and
two. But it wasn't something that felt like that was disruptive to the game. So I'm glad the referees took a night off. Well, they didn't take a night off, but they weren't
they made the
talked about.
calls when they needed to.
Thank
They
you.
made the calls
They
when
did
needed,
their
but they
job
didn't.
correctly.
Yes, and we
Okay.
don't say that a lot about NFL
Oh no,
refs.
no, 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 not at all, not at
But
all.
let's kind of switch speeds from the game itself and kind of the hype behind it. I don't know about you, man. I don't think an 8-hour pregame show on Fox warrants for us to keep our TVs on for damn near
No,
13 hours
I,
today. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what? How much do you have to repeat yourself over time? Every single year, whether it's Fox, whether it's CBS, whether it's NBC, oh, players are trying to treat this week like any other week, but it's the Super Bowl. Dude, every network
they
says
say
that
the
every
same
time they host the
thing.
Super Bowl.
Yeah,
And it's like, yo, we get it. Like,
yeah.
there's no need to have it.
It's like rah rah. Backstory. We could see baby pictures. Somebody. Some player.
The Kelsey
Right,
brothers.
exactly, and then it goes into the same repetitive speech which we talked about. I mean, I'm half thinking I'm gonna see Terry Bradshaw eating a egg McMuffin at 10 in the morning or whenever that thing started. It didn't really make any sense. Like we're gonna watch ex NFL players eat brunch. Is what I thought when I saw the time frame, but I didn't even bother to watch it. I didn't turn on the pregame
No,
until about 30 minutes before the game started, and I have no idea what they filled in that time gap. It's like the news on Sunday morning, man.
but it was the news all about the NFL. We
Right,
got
right.
another
Empty
another Damar
stories.
Ham Damar Hamlin story. We got the
Yes.
Kelsey brothers story like 8 times.
Yeah.
Um, the live report in the locker room where they're hanging the pads and the players' helmets and what this means leading up to the game.
Yeah.
Like,
Hey, Bob,
yo,
it's me on site in the locker room. I've got a Kansas City football helmet. As you can see, it says KC on the side of it, and then it's orange. And then if we turn it this way, well, look at this patch on the back. It says "Stop the hate." Remember, folks, stop the hate. Then they put the helmet down and
and
walk away.
and
And
they're
it's just,
bringing
it's like,
everyone into this. Like, you know, Charles Woodson is not even on NFL Sunday, and he's
oh
in the
yeah,
locker room with Michael Vick and
yeah.
Clarissa, whatever the hell name is. They're sitting there like talking about the big game. It's like, dude, like the pageantry. I get it. It's something we're all looking forward to. But for me to have to burn my LEDs for 8 hours just to get to the game itself, too much.
Where
Cut
where
it
where was
down.
where was Kevin Hart in all this?
Kevin Hart was punching Shaq in
Philly
all of this.
Philly native
There's
Kevin Hart, who normally is on who used to be on every NBA TNT, All Star Game show broadcast. He'd probably be on there next week. How could they have got something a little bit more entertaining? I mean, I understand the NFL likes to take itself a little bit more serious, and I completely understand. But as you said, be 5 to 6 hours of rambling about
Stop
the
it.
game. That's a little bit too much for any person to digest. I don't know what I didn't even watch it honestly, so I don't know what they were talking about.
Let's get to some of the comments. I got my sister here. By the way, I want to give a shout out to my sister. We painted my parents' bedroom in like 4 hours today. We started at like 8:15 and got done around 1 o'clock. So good old sibling bonding time. She's got a couple comments. Remember last month when I said Patrick Mahomes is the best QB in the NFL right now, and you, Stevie, and Tommy said Jalen Hurts was the number one quarterback. Good times. We were having a debate on who was the best quarterback in the league,
I wasn't a part of this,
and three
folks.
no, three of us said Stevie. This was when I was in Arizona, and so Stevie, myself, and Tommy, we were all praising Jalen Hurts because of what he was doing, and and Rachel backed up Patrick Mahomes, so she definitely got that built up there. The best part of the Super Bowl was watching Jason Kelsey eating a protein bar on the sidelines, no regrets.
I mean, he kind of has to. Have you seen him? I mean, the guy is out
That
there
boy
looking like a giant
big.
stuffed sausage. I mean, and they're ask. I mean, if you look at that every as often as they ran that quarterback sneak, he needed all 15 of those protein bars because that guy he was pushing that pile. I mean, I don't even know how he did it. That mess was crazy.
And yes, let's give a congratulations to Dak Prescott making his first Super Bowl appearance, receiving the Man of the Year award
Oh,
just to
oh,
get
oh.
booed
What?
violently
Are you
on
serious?
stage. Oh
Oh, I
my
didn't even
god.
see that. See, what I thought you were going to say is that's what they spent the 5 hours of the pregame show doing is watching Dak Prescott run from end zone to end zone.
Nah, it was
Because that man is slow as dirt.
it was a whole bunch of nonsense about 6 hours into that. But dude, I've never like I'm like, dude, it's not the I get it, he's a cowboy. Nobody likes the Cowboys. But what you doing booing a man who's receiving an award for being in his community the longest, and we're just gonna sit there and boo him?
Philly, man. It's Philly fan, man.
Now, obviously, now through all of that, we finally get to what was I was hoping kickoff by 3:30, but turned into 40 minutes of about three different national anthems, about 20 different commercials,
Yeah.
a coin flip that took way too damn long, a hype video that was another 15 minutes, and then we finally get kickoff. You know what I'm saying? Like, you finally thought kickoff was coming, then they got to pull out the Lombardi trophy. Then they got to get three Hall of
Yeah.
Famers out there, one from Kansas
Yeah,
City,
I
one
saw
from
that.
Philly.
Yeah.
And then it's like, yo, like, what they're playing for.
I feel
Stop.
I feel like whoever is running these is the same folks that used to run our high school assemblies, back when we were in school. You know what I mean? Like it has that feel to it. Like okay, and the mic, you know how they grab the mic and it starts, squeaking, and then like, and now we're gonna give out our awards to the very best students in grade A. Welcome,
Dude,
Tommy, John, and Lynn, and they walk
Tommy
out.
John.
Nobody claps. Everybody's quiet. They stand up there with their certificates for 5 seconds, and then walk away, and then the terrible band comes on and plays some crappy song that sounds absolutely atrocious. So it just had that feel to it where, as you mentioned, NFL likes to do a lot of pageantry, and it is a little unnecessary. The NFL takes itself way too seriously.
not
And
only
like,
not only that, this was probably worse than The Rock coming out last year, all oiled up, getting people hyped
oh,
up for
that's
the Super
right, for
Bowl in
the
LA.
Rams game.
You remember that?
Yeah.
No one got hyped up for that. It was just like, dude, these motivational speeches got to stop. We all know what we're watching.
Right.
We're watching the Super Bowl, so don't try to force feed it. Now, chat, give us your favorite Super Bowl commercial. We'll give you ours in just a second, but we want to see what you guys said because obviously, sponsors are paying $7 million+ just to get a 20-second ad. So, T, I gotta ask, through watching this game, give me your favorite Super Bowl commercial.
I I gotta be honest, I wasn't paying the best attention to them, to be honest with you. But I was. It was fun to see that the E Trade babies are back. So talking babies are back.
Yeah,
I remember them from like 10, 15 years ago, and here they are again.
it
Um,
gets better every single time with them
oh
kids.
yeah, man.
Oh, that was a good one,
Um,
man. I
which other one? The other one was, and I was talking to B about this. The commercial for the Flash movie, because I could have swore I saw the old Batmobile and Michael Keaton. Um,
Did anyone else notice Michael Keaton in that preview? Because when I saw it, I was like, "Oh, dude, that's Michael Keaton."
Yeah, and the
Like,
old Batmobile, like the original one from Batman and Batman Returns, or Batman Returns. So I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on here? What movie is this? And I'm like, Flash. Wait, what? Flash? Very confusing, but those are the only ones that really come to mind to me, man. I didn't have anything that really stood out to me where I'm just like holding my stomach, laughing so hard, about whatever. I
damn.
think I saw Ben
Um,
Affleck 5 different times. I'm not even sure why. Um, yeah, I don't know
the,
what the
the
hell. I don't know what's going on
the
there.
Michael Jordan movie is just too. I get the purpose of it, but when I saw what it was for, I was
Oh
like,
yeah, the Phil Knight
I'm
thing.
not
Yeah,
feeling it. I'm not feeling it just yet.
yeah.
Not yet. It didn't strike a chord. And I love a good sports movie, but the fact that I saw Matt Damon and Ben Affleck both in this movie, it almost turned. It's about to turn me away from this movie. This isn't Goodwill Hunting. All right,
You
this is
mad at
about
Boston?
Michael Jordan.
You mad at Boston? Um, yeah, man.
Victoria. I just want to give a shout out to Victoria. Rachel agreed. What are you agreeing with her? I'm assuming it's all about Dak Prescott here making his first Super Bowl appearance in there. But I didn't mean to slide you off there. What were you going to mention?
Oh no, I don't even remember, man. Just talking about the silly commercials and stuff, and
Oh,
we
so
also have to talk about the halftime performance, and I must say, folks, I received a text from B, and he seemed a little disappointed that that
she
Riri
had too much clothes
that
on, man.
Riri came dressed in full attire. So yeah, fasted. Oh my god, Rachel, when I saw the Fast and Furious
Stop.
trailer, I almost barfed. I was like, again. I mean,
With Jason Momoa of all people,
oh,
man.
it's like,
It's like,
the,
how dumber can these storylines be getting? We are getting away from the
oh,
cars.
dude,
Oh my god.
they're becoming like reality shows where the celebrities go, where their careers go to die. Like that's what the Fast and Furious has turned into. It's like,
Now John Cena's character is friends with Dom's character when they were just beating each other up in Fast and Furious
dude,
9, and now they gotta fight Aquaman in this movie.
I mean, seriously.
Stop.
I mean, it's like it's either you either pick Fast and Furious or Dancing with the Stars. Which one do you want?
Stop. Which one do you want to appear
There,
on? Like
exactly. Like
that's what they're giving up
Jason
options for.
Momoa. This is the end of your career. Which one will you choose? Fast and Furious or Dancing with the Stars? It's
Funny, Jason Momoa's career's not even over because he's got Aquaman 2 coming out. And the first one was good. And he's about to ruin his career getting involved
dude.
with this
Don't
comical
don't
act.
fool yourself, man. The DC movies are trash. Okay, I mean they're
No,
just
they are. I enjoyed Aquaman as much as I'm a
okay.
Marvel guy based
I'll
off
give
of
you
my
some
shit.
credit. It wasn't bad.
Aquaman was
It
pretty
wasn't bad.
good.
Okay, but the 2 hour, 2.5 hour, 3 hour Justice League movie is completely unnecessary. Everybody knows Superman is OP. I mean, the Black Adam movie was all right. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm not feeling it. And
I'm trying to figure out how our conversation
oh,
got
we got completely derailed.
we
Victoria chimes in with Final Destination for career. Yes, that's exactly what it is.
Mhm.
If you're on the,
And
I mean,
every
who's on? Yeah, has Ludacris played in anything else?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think that's it. I mean,
It, it, it's I mean Tyrese was in Baby Boy, which I
yeah, but
mean
that was
at this
20
point
years ago, man.
it's making Baby Boy look better than the rest of these Fast and Furious movies. But dude, and like every trailer that Fast and Furious puts out, it's like um the beginning of the end. And I was like, this should have been ended seven movies ago. Like
It's like Vin
what was
Diesel.
good.
Vin Diesel driving the same car through a tunnel
I
upside
know.
down, or he's driving. This time he's driving off of the side of a dam. Last time I think he drove out the back of a plane. I don't know what the
Driving
hell's
a car, falling from a helicopter in this preview, and acting like nothing ever happened. So it's like, just stop with this stuff, man. And now all of a sudden, these guys are like FBI agents, or they're like saving the world when we were just getting accustomed to them street racing. It's dude, it's got to stop.
Dude, the next
They got
movie. Here's the next movie for you. Here's the next. We're gonna have the Fast and Furious versus the Expendables, and we'll just have them like kill each other off. We'll just have them destroy each other, and whoever is left standing after that gets to play in the next Fast and Furious movie. How about that?
there's a problem. There's a conflicting character with that, and that's Jason Statham
Well,
because he's in. So which movie does
dude,
he pick?
yeah, I don't know. Jason Statham, he had his moments, and he has some early films that are really good. The Transporter, obviously. I loved him in. Have you ever seen what's the name of that movie with Brad Pitt as the bare knuckle gypsy boxer?
Yeah, yeah.
Snatch. Snatch. Great movie. If you haven't seen Snatch, go see Snatch. It's a Ray Guy. What's his name? Guy Ritchie. Guy Ritchie movie. It's pretty good. But yeah, man. So we're all over the place now. Where are we?
I know.
Where are we talking
We
about?
went from we started with Rihanna, how she was fully clothed, and how I had a problem with that, to now Death Race, which is with this conversation we completely left. Thanks a lot, Fast and Furious, for your trailer. Jerk.
Destroyed it. But yes, Riri was fully clothed and appeared to be sporting a little bit of what I thought may have been a baby bump. Now, I'm not saying that I know, but Riri was looking like maybe there's another child on the way. And I'm not saying that to be mean, like I'm trying to say she's fat. No, I literally mean like she kind of looked like she was pregnant or something. So, like, for real, for real. I made a comment before the show. I'm not going to make it here because I don't want to get canceled. But she's wearing a lot of red. And she just looked very. I got some very like Mariah Carey.
Come on, Tosh.
Man, just shut up, man. I got some very Mariah Carey vibes from her. Some very Mariah Carey vibes. She was not trying to move. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you. See, I knew I was right. Rachel says it is confirmed she is pregnant. I knew she was pregnant.
Dude, just say it, man.
I said she looked like. I said she liked the Kool-Aid Man. I'm sorry. I mean that's. And don't get me wrong, I ain't got nothing wrong. I think Riri is a beautiful woman. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying she was looking extra comfortable. That's all I'm saying. Extra comfortable.
With the baby bump.
And good for her. Good for her, man. I really enjoyed the performance. I don't even know if people under our age even know any of those songs. Does anybody? Are there any 20-year-olds that know any of Riri's songs? Because I feel like the songs she was playing I was familiar with. But I don't know if the young people are aware.
I was hoping Jay-Z would come out. He was at the game.
Well,
and they did do Umbrella.
Well, they can't do that because technically Beyonce won't allow him anywhere near Rihanna. So
that's right. Even with her sporting the baby bump, I actually really enjoyed it. I think the biggest thing for me during the Super Bowl was, one, we're watching on my sister's 70-inch television, and that forehead was bumping on that TV screen. I'm sorry, man. She got the biggest forehead on planet Earth.
She has always had a big forehead, man. She's always had a big forehead.
Man, the thing is her hair was slicked back so tight, it added an extra 2 inches to that forehead of hers, man. But I think the stage presence as well, the way the stage moved, dude, there was a lot of trust in them cable wires.
No, that was dope. That was dope.
I had to say that was the best kind of stage performance I had seen. I still think last year's Super Bowl performance with Dr. Dre, Kendrick Lamar, Eminem, Mary J. Blige.
If it wasn't for 50 Cent hanging upside down, that would have been the best one I'd ever seen. Best one I've ever seen. And there were some other ones that I really liked. The Bruno Mars and Beyonce one. I thought that was great. The Michael Jackson one is the one though. The Michael Jackson with him, with the fireworks and him, that's my favorite. But I don't know. Maybe the chat can chime in if they have one that kind of rings true to them in their mind as far as being the best.
You know what the worst is? That the Bruno Mars Beyonce one, they weren't even the featured acts. It was Coldplay.
Yeah, well, that's why it was. It, you know, the I'm.
Coldplay sucked.
I was just about to say that they had no choice because they knew that halfway through we were gonna fall asleep. We just got done eating nachos and wings, and now you're gonna sit us in front of the TV and play Coldplay. We're all gonna go to sleep.
And Bruno Mars had done the Super Bowl the previous year.
Yeah. Well, us jump into the
My
chat because we got a lot going on here. We got Victoria and Rachel on fire. Luda can't get views on his own TikToks, much less a movie. Dang. Victoria coming in hot with the hot fire for Ludacris for some reason. And Rachel said Death Race was actually a good movie. All right, all right. Actually, I haven't seen it. I gotta check it out. Rachel coming through with the TMZ like news, letting us know that Riri was pregnant. Thank you for that. And Victoria says he played in both. Oh, he plays in Fast and
He plays
Furious.
in both and Fast and Furious now takes place in the
Uh,
multi universe.
uh,
I think she's referring to your Expandables comment and the
yes,
Fast and
yeah.
Furious.
Let's throw both of them in that meat grinder called the multiverse and see what comes out. So she is okay. Yeah, she announced it right after the game ended. Okay, awesome. And
Rachel's message got retracted because she mentioned the boob slip.
yeah, that's the well that's it was the wrong. Well, first off, the boob slip was actually Janet Jackson, folks. It
Yeah,
was not Mariah Carey. Mariah Carey does not flash anybody.
no,
Sorry,
unless
I don't
it's
even Madonna. I don't even think it was. I don't think it was Madonna. I know it was Janet Jackson. So if Madonna did it, maybe she did. I don't remember, but I know for sure it was Janet Jackson because it was Justin Timberlake who did the honors.
yeah, no, yeah, it was Justin Timberlake that showed everyone the world what Janet Jackson's breasts look like.
Yes.
Um, oh,
Okay, let's help
damn
out
it.
B. He got lost for a second.
Yeah, I got lost for a second. My bad. um, I'm all messed up with these
All right,
girls.
so let's get back to we were
Yeah,
talking
we're all
about
messed up.
we were talking about the halftime
Speaking,
show. So yes,
speaking
we
of,
thought that we thought the we thought the halftime show. I thought it was pretty good. I thought she really did as much as she could. Now that we know that she was actually pregnant, even more so with the elevating platform and all that. Some pretty dangerous stuff considering
dancing
that you're
too.
going to have a baby. So that's definitely something to think about. And I'm sure
Dancing
ASAP
was good
Rocky
too.
is
I'll give her that.
ASAP Rocky is very proud papa somewheres. Um,
Number two,
you got
he's
that right.
competing with Travis Scott because
Tra- Wait, who's Travis Scott got
because
a
they
bunch of
remember they
kids?
used to be part of the whole ASAP combination.
Oh, okay, okay. They was homies.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's get to the good thing about Super Bowl. Now we did something simple for the Super Bowl. We had pizza, garlic bread, and some mini churros from Mountain Mike's. What did you do food wise for the Super Bowl today?
Oh man, my wife, my wonderful wife, she's been we baked cookies until 4 in the morning last night. Because she's making her cookies for her own business. So she's
Ah,
baking
yeah,
stuff and was at an event all day today. So I'm gonna shout out to her for being out there and getting them cookies out. They're delicious, by the way. And when I get more information, I'll be sharing it with y'all and everybody on the chat. Because if you like cookies, I know where you can find them. So I
man, me and my
was,
stomach don't lie about them
dude.
cookies. You know that for sure.
I was eating ugly cookies, because the ugly ones don't make it. They don't make the cut. So I'm chilling with the ugly cookies. So I ate a lot of ugly chocolate chip chunk, sea salt cookies, and I had me and my son. He wanted McDonald's, so we end up doing some Happy Meal with some McNuggets, some fries, and they threw in. If you go on the McDonald's app, they just give you free crap. So for some reason I got a free Big Mac, so I thought, what the hell, that. So that's what we had. It was me and my sons. Me and
Yeah,
my youngest watched the Super Bowl together. My eldest son, who's 13, he's playing video games, wasn't that interested. So that's it, man.
nice.
It was McDonald's for me.
Chat, let us chat. Let us know what your favorite Super Bowl food is, what it was today, kind of what you enjoyed about the Super Bowl. Now, the bigger discussion when the Super Bowl ends is should it be a holiday the next day? Because we know all of America watched the NFL for the first time today, outside of us regular, normal NFL watchers. So the liquor's flowing, everybody's having a good time. Does the Super Bowl need to be a day off the next day.
Dude, I mean, well, my kids are off tomorrow because of the Lincoln's holiday, the Lincoln holiday.
Oh, that's right.
So so it is, there is actually a holiday. However, I am not off.
No.
It's not a federal holiday for my company, so I will be back into work. But yeah, I think it's a great idea. The other thing that's happening is the later these Super Bowls get, they start creeping in on other holidays like Lincoln Holiday, and then Valentine's Day is next Tuesday. So we're starting to really commingle a lot of holidays around the same 2 week time period. They're making it really tough on us here, especially
They
us
sure are.
guys. I mean, you want to sit on your butt all day and watch a football game. Well, guess what? Valentine's Day is in 2 days. So get your crap together. Make sure that you're ready to go. And if you
Hey,
didn't do
listen.
anything prior to getting to Super Bowl Sunday, oh, well, you're behind is grass. That's all you need to know.
Hey man, way to shout out to all the guys who haven't done their Valentine's Day shopping yet. Go get it
You
done.
better go. Uh,
I don't have to buy any
it
gifts,
should be vote,
unfortunately.
vote. Rachel chimes in with the very patriotic. If they need to make anything a holiday, it should be voting day. Well, every job will let you get away with a couple of hours to go vote. But yeah, I agree. It should hold some level of more, I guess, being more esteem and have some more importance. But these days, I don't know. The government's just not that important anymore.
I guess not. But
What a
that's
weird
gonna wrap
bunch.
up Super Bowl Sunday. Now, generally, we would end this show on Super Bowl Sunday, but there was complete chaos that took place later this week here, this past week. And Taj made a good point. Someone in the NBA farted, and all chaos ensued after that.
It's okay.
So,
Uh,
it was the trade deadline for the NBA, and
oh
we
man.
were gonna lead with the Lakers being the biggest winners here, but Mr. Kevin Durant, KD himself, after Kyrie decided to go to the Mavericks, decided to take things a little further. So, KD goes to the Suns where he was trying to go in the offseason, ends up there halfway through the season, and the Suns shelled out to get him. The Suns give up Mikal Bridges, Jay Crowder, Cam Johnson, Dario Saric, four round unprotected draft picks for Kevin Durant, TJ Warren, and Darius Baisley. So, Taj, before we talk about your Lakers, was this a good move for Phoenix?
So Phoenix traded offense for depth. They gave up their depth and they traded it for offense. So they better hope that it works out in their favor. They are going to have to plug some holes defensively. I think getting rid of Cam Johnson, who is a big guy who can shoot. I mean, he's a solid
Yes.
solid 3 or 4. Mikal Bridges, it was the heart and soul of their team. He was the plug and play guy that they, even when guys like Chris Paul were out, this was a guy that would come in, defend the best player on the other team, and knock down threes for you. They're definitely going to miss that. So they have to hope that their offense is going to overcompensate for what they lost defensively in those players. Now, on the Nets side of the ball, look, folks, let's just be clear. The Nets didn't know what they were doing to start. Kyrie and Kevin Durant chose them instead of the opposite way. And I just think the Nets were doomed from the beginning. I feel bad for their organization for being involved in this crap-tastic, experiment
this
with
dumpster
with
fire.
Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, which never materialized into anything. And this has to go down as one of the worst basketball-related situations I've ever seen. At least the Russell
But
Westbrook
Brooklyn's
thing is done. But I mean, the Nets have nothing to show for the money that they shelled out for these players, and that doesn't include the Harden trade. So it's just been
but
pitiful.
that's twice that Brooklyn put themselves in these positions.
Yes, it is.
Because the first time around, they went after the big three. They
Yep,
literally
Kevin
took
Garnett.
Boston's big three and brought them to Brooklyn.
Yep.
And that experiment just blew up in their face. And then now this experiment blows up in their face as well. And mind you, if you guys don't know, the Nets were the fifth seed. They were 32-20 when this trade went down. So it's not like they were playing bad basketball. It took me it just blew me away that this happened here. We got a Laker fan in here, JJ. says, "Let's go Lakers,"
Let's
I
go.
say, "Let's go disappear from that
Let's go. Let's go.
conversation."
Whoa, watch out. Hold on now.
Um,
Let's go Lakers all the way. What's up, JJ?
damn
Yeah,
it.
yep. Laker fan
Um,
all day, all day.
Rachel goes, "I bet KD was the kid in high school who joined all the Smarties in a group project for the Easy A." He was. Those Smarties were the Golden State Warriors, and instead of staying and dealing with it, he got away with it. So now he's just with the rejects that we call the Phoenix Suns, because this is going to be an experiment that has to work midway through the season.
Yes.
How is Devin Booker and KD going to share that ball?
I think the real question
How's
is
Chris Paul going to work into it?
Chris Paul is, if he could be the facilitator, they can make it work. But Chris Paul is never healthy. I mean, he
No.
hasn't made it through a complete season in 5 years. And so to expect him to have a deep playoff run and get to the finals, I mean, he tried once and it didn't work out. He didn't make it all the way. So I just fail to think that they're going to be as good as they were. They lost some of their cohesiveness by getting rid of two solid role players on their team, and they're going to have to overcompensate with offense. If they can just blow everybody out the water with their offense, then great. They'll be just fine. But I failed to see how much different this is from him playing with Kyrie. Now he's playing with with Devin Booker. What's the big difference? Kyrie's a much better player. Um,
Oh yeah, 100%.
Booker just doesn't have the outside of basketball issues that Kyrie brings. But the Suns are going to get better. I'm not going to lie. I think they'll get better offensively. I just have to wait to see what they're going to be like defensively, because you see what happened with the Mavericks against the Sacramento Kings. I mean, they look great offensively, but they can't stop anybody.
No, Yep.
So you got
And
to have
that
some defense.
it comes down to at least a couple of stops. You got to find a way to get two stops,
Right.
and that's gonna and that whole Luka and Kyrie experiment will be very, very interesting. We'll touch on that in just a minute here. But for JJ and Taj,
Oh, I'm
the
ready.
Lakers here. The Lakers, after LeBron comes off on being the all-time scoring leader, which we haven't even had a chance to even discuss on this show.
We haven't? No, I guess we haven't.
No, I don't think we have, because it happened this week, and the only conversation we had was through text. But LeBron took a look at the roster sheet and said, "I need to get rid of these players and bring these players in." So for the Lakers, out Patrick Beverly, terrible experiment. Thomas Bryant, up and coming center. Damian Jones, journeyman. Kendrick Nunn, never saw him play. Juan Toscano Anderson should have stayed with the Warriors. Russell Westbrook, about damn time. All those players are gone. Here comes Mo Bamba, Malik Beasley. We already know Rui Hachimura was already part of the team.
Yep.
Devon Reed, D'Angelo Russell, welcome back, and Jared Vanderbilt. They probably are one of the teams that really loaded up in a competitive West. My Laker fan, I will let you and JJ take this over.
Yeah.
What do you feel?
So this is where all the Laker fans now have to turn tail, turn around with their legs tucked between their tail tucked between their legs and say, "Sorry, Rob Pelinka, I'm sorry." Because here's the deal. LeBron had a lot to do with the fact that Russell Westbrook was on our team. Okay? LeBron, Russell, and Russell, I'm talking about Russell Westbrook, not D'Angelo Russell. Russell Westbrook, LeBron, and AD had a meeting 2 weeks prior to the actual trade that happened during that offseason. And so these guys wanted to play together because they thought that it would work. And what Rob did this time was, instead of listening to what LeBron wanted, which was Kyrie Irving, right? Instead of listening to "this is what I want," remember, LeBron was quick to go to the media and say, "Hey, we really could use." I believe he says something like, they asked him, "Would Kyrie help them?" And he said, "Duh." And then there were some other comments he made in his long interview with I forgot who he had the interview with, about how he was disappointed that the Lakers didn't get Kyrie. So we already know what LeBron wanted. This move that was made by the Lakers was not a LeBron move. This was a Lakers management move. And I'll tell you why.
Yes.
It's not built on the idea of creating some three-headed superstar monster team. It was built on the idea of creating a roster that actually fits together. And that's the difference. D'Angelo Russell and Malik Beasley shoot better than 37% from the 3-point line. We needed shooters. D'Angelo Russell is a point guard who can also play off the ball and doesn't need to ball hog all the time in order to get his money, get his buckets like Russell Westbrook. And D'Angelo Russell can actually shoot. Uh, Jared Vanderbilt is a young player. Again, this is not along the LeBron age timeline. It's not a win now pickup. Jared Vanderbilt is a pickup for the future. Okay, this is a 23-year-old guy that can flat out play defensively, long, athletic. He played like 15, 20 minutes and blew my mind. Got a steal, made 2 great passes, got to the rim on a nice little spin play for the layup, got into a lane, the guy was all over the place. These are the type of players that when you have depth on your team makes you a good team throughout the regular season and gives you quality rotational players when you're in the playoffs. So I really like what the Lakers did. Not only do I like that, but as you mentioned, B, the Lakers gave up nothing. Nothing.
Oh,
They
yeah.
gave up nothing. Russell Westbrook was something we needed to a guy we need to get rid of anyway. He's been a bad fit since he's been there. Juan Toscano Anderson couldn't even crack the lineup on our team, and we don't even have anybody. Damian Jones couldn't crack the lineup. Thomas Bryant was a good player, but that with Mo Bamba coming in, he wasn't going to get any minutes anyway. Mo Bamba,
No.
that's another pickup. A young guy, him and Rui Hachimura, both guys
Hachimura.
young. Again, this is not LeBron. This is not LeBron general manager. LeBron would have never picked up guys who were that young and still have some potential to grow. LeBron would have been looking for old ass dudes like Patrick Beverly and all these other guys who are so long in the tooth that they can only play for 10, 15 minutes in a playoff game. So kudos to the Lakers management for having some balls, and kudos to them for actually getting it done. I know you're not shaking your head. What did the Warriors do? The Warriors traded for a guy that they already had.
Later. I'll talk about my team later here.
Oh
but
my gosh.
This is where I think the Lakers were smart. They can finally remove AD from the 5 hole because of Mo Bamba. That is a true center. Me and you talk about it. AD has never been a true center.
No.
Even in college, he was never a true center. And the fact that they're using him at the 5 is removing him from his own game. Because you're asking him to live in the paint. He's not a paint guy.
No.
He's got a great mid range. He's not a deadly 3-point shooter, but this is where you use AD to stretch the floor. Because now you have Mo Bamba down there to take that off of his plate.
Mo Bamba can hit threes too.
He can,
yeah.
But Mo Bamba's a more traditional center than Anthony Davis,
right?
To say the least there. So adding that gives them, now granted the Lakers got a lot of work to do, but what makes this so good about what they did, a 4-game winning streak puts you in the 7 seed.
Yeah.
That's how bunched up the West is. I think we know who the top team is going to be. It's going to be Denver. I don't see anyone catching the Denver Nuggets at this point there. But when you look at the teams from 3 to 10,
yep, it's a log jam.
A 3-4 game difference. So the Lakers can make up that ground. Now, whether they do it or not, that's going to be the different piece because LeBron needs to get healthy. AD just needs to find a way to get better. But I think him getting removed from the 5 spot and being put as his natural 4 position is gonna do base. And I can't believe I'm giving the Lakers credit, but they did a damn good job doing that there.
So, B, you want to talk about the Warriors trade?
Where do you want to start off on it? It was a disaster from day one. The problem was it was only one day that they made all this happen.
I mean, I'm trying to figure out what the plan was other than just getting rid of James Wiseman. They got a couple of 2nd-round draft picks and Gary Payton II, who is going to be injured for 3 months. For a team that needed a shot in the arm, especially with Curry being injured and guys like Draymond just really underperforming, to be honest with you, and Klay Thompson being so streaky. I would have thought that the Warriors would have been more active, and maybe they were and just didn't get the deal done. I just don't see why this deal was the one that they needed to make.
I was actually really happy with the Sadiq Bey pickup.
Sadiq Day went to the Hawks.
I know, but that was part of the elaborate 800 team trade that was involved in all of this. You know, when they
Oh
had made the
man.
announcement that Sadiq Bey was a Warrior, I was like, you know what? He had just busted the Warriors' ass for 2 games, and
Yeah.
I'm like, this is actually not a bad pickup here. You got a physical man who could play the forward position. Cut a little time off of Draymond here
Yeah.
to kind of do that little bit of dirty work, and then he goes to another team, and then we get Kevin Knox the second. What? I was like, who is that?
No,
He
no,
said,
you didn't get him either. He went to the Blazers.
no, because he ends up going to the Blazers with 10 million second round draft picks for who? Gary Payton II, who the Portland Trailblazers have been hiding an injury, but it wasn't really hiding because he had the surgery
Yeah.
during the offseason. So it was like, dude, what the hell is going on? And then all of a sudden, I was happy they got him. So they got themselves a good defender again. He's basically it's let's run this back. Let's get him back over here. All of a sudden, he fails his physical. You know why? Because he had surgery on something. And then it's like, oh, James Wiseman may be coming back. But the Warriors didn't play James Wiseman for a week after he got healthy
Yeah.
because he knew he was trade bait. Like, still
Dude.
have a chance. They still have a chance to sign people. Whether Gary Payton plays the rest of the year, it's to be determined because he literally played against the Warriors on Tuesday
Yeah.
and gets traded to them. So I guess the more
Dude.
outlook is how severe is his injury going to be should he get hurt.
All I'm
But
saying, all them damn Kaiser Permanente commercials they had, they should have been able to find a doctor to figure this out.
this is twice that a Bay Area team
What is going on?
physical because of his injury. First, Carlos Correa in baseball, and, and then now we have Gary Payton II. But here's the other thing that is still taking place is the buyout stage.
Yeah.
There are some decent players that are available for buyout. Who I see the Warriors targeting is a guy like Gordon Hayward. He may be on the line for a buyout, and I hate to say it, but I wouldn't mind it. Kevin Love.
Okay.
There's
I can see
I
that.
think he's got that last. This may be the last push that he's got in that tank. I actually would not mind seeing Kevin Love in a Warrior uniform.
Yeah.
He's a big man that can pass the ball.
Mhm.
He's got a great mid range. He's not requiring much. He kind of reminds me of David West, but
Yeah.
just a kind of a bit of a goofier version of
Yeah.
him. You know what I'm saying?
I could definitely see that because you guys generally have some good veteran leadership coming off your bench, and since you've gone young, it just hasn't been working out for you. I gotta say, I don't like what the Warriors did. I don't know what the direction is with Curry being injured going forward, and the longer this goes on, as far as the injuries and them sort of playing terrible on the road, the Warriors are. It's really they're going to end up being a sort of bottom of the heap team. They're going to end up being a play-in team.
I,
If
I
that,
still like I still give the Warriors a chance because you know what? At this point, they're just like, let's just get to the playoffs.
yeah,
That's how I see it as.
yeah,
And then all that experience comes into place. And I know no one likes to hear it, but it's absolutely true. That experience will serve hold over anyone at any time. But it's all about what motion they get into because there's spurts of like, oh, well, this team is starting to turn it on. And then they go losing 4 straight on the road. It's like, well,
yeah. It's just
here
very.
we go again.
Yeah, it's because they're
It's
older. They're
inconsistent.
older players, man. They can't consistently
They
play
are.
like that all the time. You know what I mean? And they just haven't had the firepower from your boy Gumby, aka Jordan Poole, who is nice with the ball sometimes, but other times doesn't even know where the ball is. And I got that first hand view when the Lakers played the Warriors last night. And I gotta tell you, man, Jordan Poole is quite the talent. But man, he spent the entire first half, I mean, looking like, what are you doing?
Dude, and
Just dribbling with those Twizzlers for
The
arms.
man's got a heat check problem because he thinks
Oh
two
yeah,
shots turns him into
yeah, I saw
into
that.
uh
Yeah, that was
into
terrible.
heat mode, and then all of a sudden it just goes, half court doozy, and it's like, dude, just stay hot, man. Go in and out, in and out on the defense all the time.
Exactly.
Um,
Well, I'm gonna jump back.
but we'll see. The Warriors are trusting the youth. So the guys like Moody definitely need to start stepping up. I know he hasn't seen a lot of playing time, but he hasn't earned it yet. He saw a little time against the Lakers, but we were really hoping to see some improvement. Jonathan Kaminga was in a lot of trade talks, and they could have brought in a lot of good pieces for Kaminga, but they like what they see.
Yeah, I like
So
it. He's
I'm
good.
happy that they kept him.
Yeah, he's good.
But that youth movement that we were excited about going into the season, at some
Yeah,
point, Steve Kerr's going to shut that down, and he's going to go with his horses at that point because you're not going to trust that youth movement inside of a 7-game playoff series.
yeah,
It's been seen.
right.
So he
I
shortens his rotation big time. So if there's guys ain't cutting it, dude, you'll be on the bench, but you may not see a whole lot of run. You got to earn that right.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was get caught up on the chat, JJ, my fellow Lakers fan. I like our moves. I think I would have liked Clarkson more than Russell, but I can't complain about our trades. Obama will help with AD staying at power forward. So the only issue with that is that I don't know if Coach Ham is actually going to play him at power forward. I think Coach Ham is still going to put him at center because the Lakers the Lakers traded away both their centers. We traded away Thomas Bryant and Damon Jones, which means we don't have any centers. We only have AD and Mo Bamba. So we're either going to be playing we're going to have to play small at some point. We don't have enough centers to roll one in as a starter.
Yep.
So I'll be curious to see how that works out. And JJ, again, we got a lot of nice pieces. Agreed. Hope D'Angelo still has ice in his veins. Looking like old warrior moves. Talking about the Warriors who
That
paid
disaster of a
you
trade
know
deadline couldn't have screamed anything
there's some
like old Warriors.
yeah old Warriors were paying guys like Eric Dampier and
Stop it.
who else remember the Lithuanian center, what was his name, Andris Biedrins.
He was drafted by the Warriors, though.
Yeah, but you guys paid him, he got a big contract out of you guys.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate
Yeah,
part.
even what
Um,
was it? What's the African dude name? I forgot his name. He still does y'all's. There you
Donald
go.
Foyle.
Thank you, O'Donnell Foyle. That's who I was looking for. That
That
guy.
dude was the greatest bench supporter. I
Oh,
was lightweight a fan of his because dude, for a guy who spent that much time on the bench in the league and just to still want to be a part of the organization, it's like he's that lovable loser you want on your
well,
team.
that's because you guys need to. How come you guys should have way better I mean, no offense to
Oh man, Brian Cardinal. You guys had Brian Cardinal too, didn't you?
Brian. Did we? Maybe.
You guys did at one point.
You guys had some crappy players, and you paid some money for them too.
Come on, man.
Do you remember Joe Smith?
We talk about
Joe Smith,
you know
top
who
draft pick, Joe Smith. Come on, you remember Joe Smith.
Stop it.
I mean,
Stop it. That was the past. That was the past.
Y'all got Kalina Azubuike doing
present.
y'all games, man.
I can't stand him on the TV. Him and Bob Fitzgerald do just ruin it for me.
I mean, Kalina Azubuike, that's the Warrior. Y'all, I mean, at least,
Jim Barnett was a great
Oh,
color
I
analyst.
love Jim Barnett. Oh, Jim Barnett was the best.
Listen to him on the radio, dude. I love listening to him talk about the game.
Yeah.
Kalina Azubuike just turns the broadcast into complete crap. Michael Pietrus.
Yeah.
Damn. Hey, you know more about my team than you know about your team.
Well, I remember.
What you saying, JJ?
I remember Pietrus because Kobe busted his ass when he was with the Orlando Magic when we won the.
Man, he wasn't that good to begin with. It don't matter. I want to bring up one trade though that doesn't get talked about, but may just put one team over the hump. And it's a guy who hasn't played all year because he's been holding out, didn't want to be a part of an organization. But that's Jay Crowder.
Oh yeah.
Who ended up with the
Bucks. Yeah, you're right.
With the Nets, and then the Nets sent him to Milwaukee. Just keep that in mind when you that final push you have.
Boston.
Who's the guy that?
Wait.
No. Who's the guy they just got back to? Middleton.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's
Middleton is back. Holiday, Jay Crowder, Giannis. That's a really good four on the court
Yeah,
in crunch time there. And Jay Crowder is a top level defender as well,
yeah.
and he's not afraid to get a little feisty at the time. So I give Milwaukee a lot of credit for pulling that off to get. I really wish the Warriors, if the Warriors would have landed Jay Crowder, I would have been happy with that.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what we talked about with that having some of that veteran leadership, not just your core stars with Curry and
Yep.
Clay, but and because I really feel like Draymond is the grayer that beard gets, the slower your boy is getting, man. So he's slowing down. He's slowing down quite a bit, and so he's doing the best he can. But quite honestly, you're kind of at the end of the line with with the group that you have. This may be their last final go around is one cohesive unit, um,
Yeah,
with those three players. So it'd be interesting to see what happens, man. Um,
absolutely.
yeah,
But I think, I mean, that's pretty much it. So now we get into the All Star break. Obviously, we'll kind of see where our teams are. We'll do a little All Star midway season report on the NBA, and then get ready for that final push in a Wild West. And by the way, John Morant, you are a dummy for making your comment saying that you had it good in the West. Because guess what? Every team's coming for you now.
not no more.
I've never heard a team talk so much trash with zero to show for it.
They absolutely do, and they're like that with every team that they
Jesus.
play. They went into Boston today and got smacked around like they should have because Boston is a much more talented and harder playing team. But they just Ja is a great player, but he relies too much on his athleticism. He reminds me of a very young and slightly more athletic Russell Westbrook. A guy that really puts all of his game energy into being able to jump and dunk on people, but hasn't smoothed his game out a little bit to, uh, you know, have a little bit more of a mid range game. He can knock down threes and get hot, but he needs to put all the facets together. Like you look at a guy like Tatum. You need to be able to score at all
Stadium.
Tatum, right? You need to be able to score at all three levels. You need to be able to
Yep.
score at the three, at the mid, and in the paint. And I feel like Ja puts a lot of he goes directly to the paint. I remember him in the playoffs against the Warriors last year. That's all he did. He literally ran to the paint and jumped. Like that's
Yep.
what he was doing. And so that's not really a game plan, and that you're supremely athletic, but you lack some of the offensive skills needed to get to that next level. So kudos to him. Good luck. The Grizzlies will not be. They ain't going nowhere, man.
Yeah, and a couple other comments here in the chat. JJ Ingles ain't bad either. They all stretch the floor for Giannis, and I think that's the big
Yeah.
thing there. Is when they crowd the paint for Giannis is that kick out, and it used to be Middleton and a little bit of Holiday, but now you can really stretch the floor because Jay Crowder could hit a corner three all day as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they did a good job. And Angel, what's going on, man? Hope you're doing well on this Sunday night. I know you don't want to talk about the Super Bowl, but if you go back to the early part of the show, you can catch everything about the Super Bowl if you wanted to.
You could even rewatch the whole show.
The whole show. But I think that's gonna do it for us tonight, my brother.
Yeah, man.
Thank you for everyone for tuning in tonight. Anybody who likes sports talk, just a couple guys shooting shop. Want to give your opinion on sports? Tell them to come find us on YouTube. We're on TikTok as well. Just type in BNT Sports Talk. You can come find us. Angel says because my Niners weren't in it. Even if the Niners found a way to win that NFC Championship game, they weren't winning the Super Bowl with that offense. It's sputtering the way it was there. But always up for a different discussion on that.
Yep. Well, until next time, again, if you like SB said, spread the word, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. We appreciate everybody joining us after the Super Bowl. Oh man, I'm telling you, it was a really good game. Even if you didn't have a dog in the fight, it was a fun Super Bowl to watch. So,
hey man, don't say that too loud. Michael Vick was there.
Mike, oh, Mike, seriously.
Hey man.
No, nobody cares about dogs anymore. Nobody cares anymore.
Man, I love my dogs.
That's not the hot topic. That's not the hot topic anymore, man.
We are 10 subscribers away from hitting 100. So please spread that word out. We have been working very hard to get to this moment here. We're 10 subscribers away, so please share that love. We want to have a big celebration for getting 100 subscribers. We're almost a year into the show, and in all honesty, I don't think I saw it getting as far as it did here.
Yeah.
And now we're almost at 100 subscribers, man. So let's keep it on, share that wealth with everyone, and come join us next Sunday.
Absolutely, y'all. We appreciate it. And again, thanks everybody for joining. Y'all have a great evening.
Yes, sir. Peace.